It's Brian Garcia here with
Erin, Nicole, Bick, and we are the Adventure Partners. What's shaking?
What's shaking, bacon?
What are we going to talk about today?
Resist the tug of conformity. So, are you going to...
I'm going to share.
You share?
Yeah.
Okay. She's on the share machine today. I will get us started with today. So, think about that statement for a second. Resist the tug of conformity. How many times in your life have, external influences tugged at you and was all like, hey, you must conform, you must be a certain way, you must do something a certain way, or else. Or life will not be the same. What exactly is conformity, and why is it that resisting the tug of it could actually bring you more excitement in your life, could actually bring you more happiness, take you on more adventures, and actually allow you to live an extraordinary life that you've never experienced before? Conformity is the thing that paints us in the box that society puts us in, and it is the thing that causes us to be completely feeling stuck sometimes. And it doesn't feel good to be stuck, does it?
No. There's some really basic situations that I want to go over where conformity is just plain old silly. Say that you're in line somewhere and there's a massive lineup to get out one door.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody's funneling towards the one door. Say on the streetcar in Toronto. We're on the streetcar in Toronto. People usually charge out of the front door. But people forget that you can leave out the back door.
Yeah.
That just shows how 90% or more, maybe even 95% of people conform to doing what everybody else does. And they don't go with individual thinking, hey, maybe I should use the back door. Because a lot of people think, I might get in trouble, or what if someone judges me for going out that way? Do you notice that in situations when you're in a public space? I think I notice it the most when I'm in a public space. I
totally know exactly what you're talking about. Let's say that you go to a conference or something like that that has you're at a huge convention center and there's doors that are just, the whole wall seems like it's a solid door, but they have two double doors that are open that says enter here, exit here, and when people go and enter, they all funnel through this little door, which makes sense if they've got to scan your badge or to be able to ID you on the way in. That totally makes sense. But the exit part is the one that is the real killer. So, and the reason why I say it's the real killer is because there's been hundreds of fires in and around the world where people didn't get out because they were exiting the same place where they entered. So rather than opening your eyes whenever you're somewhere and you're looking and saying, hey, if something does happen, if something bad happens, what are the other ways to get out? There's all these doors that are possibilities. And so when we go to large convention centers and stuff, I may get a point to say, hey, this whole wall is a doorway. You just have to make it to the wall and push it's called panic hardware. It's just the bar that's on the door that you push and the door opens. That's all you have to do. That is one way to step out of conformity and actually be able to live a more pleasant life, because you're able to get to wherever you need to, to the restroom, a lot quicker than to go out that one exit that everybody's filing and pushing and trying to get to because, they announce, hey, it's lunchtime, and everybody goes to those two double exit doors when really you can go through any of them. And the moment that other people see you break out of line and go and do something different, the action takers, the people who see a good thing and who are like, you know what, I don't want to conform. I want to be a free spirit. I got the free spirit in me. Then they follow you, and they too go that direction. And then other people see it, and then that's where the surge happens. They start opening their eyes and seeing, oh my gosh, besides this one door that Brian and Erin went through, there's actually these doors. And then all of a sudden, people start going and pushing all these different doors open, and everybody can exit so much quicker.
That's true. That's true. I've had actually so many situations. I'm not really one to conform. I don't do it very often. But I've had a lot of situations where I'm at like a concert or something like that, and the woman's washroom is lined up like around the block, right? And I'm like, well, I may as well check out the men's washroom. Most of the time, I end up going in the men's washroom. There's nobody in there most of the time. Well, when I go in, I make sure there's no men in there. So go into the men's washroom, and guess what? Sometimes it's cleaner than the ladies' washroom because there's like hundreds of women using the washroom, but men, it's like they just wait, or maybe they have bigger bladders, like I don't know what it is, but most of the time it's the better choice.
Yeah. So here's another example, and just like
these are just silly ones.
Yeah, just like Jen was talking about, people are lemmings. So here's another really interesting example. Back when I was in the fire department, it was the norm to, you know, oh my gosh, you've got this such an awesome job, you know, it was so hard to get in, and whenever, you know, people resign or, you know, retire early, such as myself, I retired early, while some would argue, say, oh no, you actually resigned, dude, because I was in almost 9 years versus the 10 years vested. But that's another story for another day. But so, like, the conformity thing says, okay, it's time to study, to promote, you know, you've got to keep this job because it's so hard to get into. And then you leave because you realize that there's another side to the coin. Not necessarily the grass is greener, but there's another way of life that could produce more happiness and could actually afford you a better living, a more happy way of life, a way of life that you can travel to wherever you want to be and live wherever you want to be around the globe, and not have to be stuck doing the whole 9 to 5, but in my case 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So it's the idea that even though other people think that you're being irrational for leaving the dream job, in real life what's really happening is that there's maybe a little bit of jealousy or uncertainty that like they don't really know what it is that you're doing, and you know, they don't understand maybe the business that you started, what you got yourself into, and you know, how you're able to live and more fulfilled and help more people on a global basis than sitting in one little area, you know, in one firebox, you know, or one fire territory or whatever. And so it's interesting because you hear stories of other people talking about, oh, well, so-and-so was talking smack about how you're such an idiot for leaving, when really that's them not having the knowledge that I have, that I've curated over time, that I've actually applied to get to a better place.
I think, like, it's not always jealousy. I do understand that and agree with it, because I had a lady the other day be like, what are you going to do when you're 50? Well, that's a wonderful question. She's like, are you considering your future? And I was like, well, I've actually never considered my future more. Like, when I was a hairstylist, I didn't set up a retirement savings. I was pissing all my money away on drugs and alcohol. I think that now, in being more responsible than ever, I just so happen to be in the beautiful Utila, Honduras right now with the love of my life. So I think that sometimes it makes people uncomfortable to see you as a different person. So sometimes when we start to make decisions that make us feel good in our heart and get us excited, a lot of people don't take their mind to the next level, to stretch and grow and to consider that they don't have to do something that they don't like, or maybe they like it, but there's something else that they're kind of always burning to do. Like, when I stopped being hairstylist, and I remember I started to tell my clients, like, okay, like, this is your last cut with me, and people were like, why? No, you know, and like, for what I was doing, I had a huge clientele base. I was one of the busiest stylists downtown Toronto. Like, people enjoyed coming to me. They enjoyed the experience that I gave. I don't blame them. But, and I was good at what I was doing, but it wasn't fulfilling for me anymore to keep doing that. And I was more excited to move on to something else. And I think that people were like, oh, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna make money? Well, if this fails, you always can fall back on hairstyling. And I'm sure people have said that too, but firefighting too.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not the kind of mindset that I want to live by, that I can always fall back on this thing, you know, like that part of my life. I've moved on from working behind a chair for somebody else. If I ever did it again, it'd be on my own terms, which I do beautiful trims on Brian. So, and like if I bump into random people here and there, I might cut their hair. But, but I think that people get uncomfortable when you change. So, in a lot of situations when entrepreneurs are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, family and friends are like, what are you doing? Like, you have this great job, you're a CEO, you do all this, you know, greatness in what you're already doing, and they just don't get it.
Yeah, maybe they only know you for what you are or have been to them in their life.
Yeah, or it maybe makes them a bit uncomfortable to think, like, for instance, when someone's losing weight and their whole family is overweight, say, or other people in the family are overweight, and you start making decisions to, like, eat healthier, and you're at a family function, and you're being really mindful of what you eat, and while there's a huge buffet lined up in front of you, and people are like, oh, you decided to be a vegetarian, and they're like, why are you doing that? Like, aren't you concerned, like, you're not getting enough protein in your diet, blah, 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 blah. Well, they mow down a cupcake.
Yeah.
It's because they feel a bit uncomfortable by you, because that means they have to reflect, look at what they're doing, and consider that maybe what they're doing isn't the best for them.
Self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that that can be the same when you're maybe becoming an entrepreneur, because they're thinking, well, shit, I would love to have a business of my own and have a schedule that I want, or I could live anywhere in the world, or I could travel more, or whatever it is that people are desiring. They might be a little bit maybe jealous of that.
Yeah. And I think that the tug of, you know, conformity that society puts us in also has a whole lot to do with, you know, it's just part of the timeline of someone's life. Like, you're born, you learn how to walk, you learn how to talk, like all that stuff. You go to elementary, and you go to, you know, middle school, high school, you go to college, and you've got a choice if you want to do a graduate sort of thing. Like, there's all sorts of things that are normal, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with getting education and learning things. I learn things all the time. And I bet you learn things all the time too. You learn new things every single day.
Every day.
But I think that what happens is we start going down this path, and if you're doing the same thing that everyone else is, you're considered, you know, normal in society's eyes. Now, if you start doing things that might be a little bit different, might be a disruption of some kind. And when I say disruption, I'm not talking about a negative disruption. Like Facebook, for instance, was a disruption of the social aspect of life, because social aspect of life used to be about seeing people in person, and you know, you would be on a phone call with them versus communicating via like text messages
Virtually.
and pictures and videos virtually.
Yeah.
So it's taken a lot of the in-person thing out of it. While if you use it in the live sense, like for instance, everybody here live is here with us now, regardless
Hi,
of
friends.
what time zone you're in, and you can see and realize that, oh my gosh, it does, you know, there's things happening at the exact same time,
Yeah.
even though it's different time zones all over the world. And what is it that these people are doing that's different? Just like our friend Jen
Jennifer,
here.
hey, girl.
Yeah, you know, on the other side of the world to us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where you're at. If you, like, whenever we're out traveling, like right now we're in Utila, Honduras, and we're going across the island, it's 3 miles across and 7 miles long. Very small island. And you see people coming and going on the ferry, and every single one of them has a different story. Some of those people have jobs out there. Some people are just on holiday or on vacation, or might be doing like a really quick travel down here just because they're trying to get away from the rat race of life. While there's other people that we've talked to who are actually entrepreneurs. They also run businesses from their laptops. They're able to build very successful 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses all over the globe because they've got their laptop and they can do this. And most people who have a smartphone are able to tap into that and be able to make that happen for themselves. And these people are not conforming to what is normal in society's eyes, because society pretty much tells us, and this is true in college, that you're being groomed for a job. Like at the end of college, I remember huge college job fairs where all these huge employers would come to gobble you up and put you in there, and hopefully if you're a good employee they can keep you tied in and keep you satisfied enough so that you don't want to leave until you're too expensive, and then they push you off and find someone else who's got a lower pay rate, who could do just as well a job as you. And so, like, where does that leave you? That leaves you feeling used. That makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I was used and spit out at this job. Now, there are a lot of jobs out there are extremely essential, and, you know, I've got huge props for people who are in those positions.
Yeah. Huge props.
Huge props.
Huge props. I think, like, my dad, for instance, he dropped out of high school and wanted nothing more than to drive a dragster. That's all he wanted to do, was race cars. So he dropped out when he was 15, gets a dragster, gets a factory job, gets a dragster. At that time, the factory job was like a luxurious thing. Like, it was like, you know, well, maybe not luxurious, but it was high paying for a 15-year-old. So he gets a job, and in a very short amount of time has enough money to buy a dragster. So he gets this race car. He worked for like 25 years, and now he's 40 years old at that point, and the factory shuts down. He, to most employers, is unemployable because he didn't have like a college education. He didn't even have his high school education, so he got a GED. Like, it's just the idea of being forced into a job. Lots of people lose their jobs at an older age, and then they're totally screwed because they're too old and they're unemployable, or they're too smart and they have what is that called? They're too smart for the job. What's it called? Too much cred?
Too much cred, too big of a resume for the position that they're filling.
Yeah,
and, so
and they'd have to be paid more if they actually did fill that position. Yeah. So that's kind of a bummer in our society, and I think that a lot of people end up in a job that they feel stuck in.
Overqualified, Jen. You're the winner.
Bing, ding, ding. I want to say hey to everybody who's jumping on.
Yeah, I see Patrick Brown jumped on from Austin, Texas.
Hey,
Ed Hanna also on. Jen Lamb.
Javier,
welcome, brother.
Nice to see you, Jessica. Hey, girlfriend. We've been having some good chats lately. Yeah, there's some good peeps jumping on. Edward, hello. Yeah. So, conformity.
And resisting it.
Resist it. It's good for you. It's good for you to do things that are new.
Helps you to grow.
Helps you to grow, to stretch and grow. And if there's something that you really want to do and people around you are like, why would you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Do it.
If you if you have an idea in your mind and you're all like, you know what, I really love my job. Like, I loved my job in the fire department. It was a great job the majority of the time. There were some things that I got to see that I had to see that I don't wish upon anybody in their life. And, you know, those types of things really screw people up in the head. And so being able to recognize that I didn't want to deal with that, and being able to recognize that, you know what, I'm not going to just conform to what society says, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take charge and take action and actually start building something and learning how to do this so that I can develop options in my life. I mean, imagine how that would feel if one day you're all like, you crazy non-conform Patrick Brown, love you, brother. So, like, imagine being able to give your family options. Imagine being able to give yourself options where you're just like, one day you just decide, you know what, I can do whatever it is that I want because I had an idea, I took action, I kept doing action, I didn't quit on that idea. And the only reason why you wouldn't be successful in something that you're putting your heart and mind into, only reason is if you stop doing it. And when you're doing something, the people talk about, oh my gosh, what if you do it and fail? You know what? I hope I fail a whole ton along the way, because failure is a learning point along the way, and it teaches you, hey, that didn't work. Try something different. You know, if you've got, you know, your eyes and, you know, sight set on what it is that you're going to do. And so all these people, you know, maybe talking to you or behind your back to other people, and you hear about it later because you've gone and you've done something extraordinary with your life, and you're able to actually say, hey, if that's what you want, there is a way that you can make that happen. And it starts with an idea that you have in your mind, right?
Big time. I know that when this personal development business that I was a part of came into my life, I remember seeing this thing as my golden ticket out of there. Like, I was just like, oh my God, like, I can't say I was miserable as a hairstylist, but I was like, I want to have a business. I want to be a motivational speaker. That was like my number one thing. Like, I want to help people. I want to be a motivational speaker. So I see this personal development thing, and I was like, oh my God, here it is. I didn't ask anybody about it, and that caused a lot of trouble in my life, because I was with somebody at the time, and he was like, what? He was just like, what are you doing? Like, you spent how much money? Like, I went, invested in this business. I went and I got a loan. I do not recommend, if you're married, to not talk to your spouse about this, but I knew that he was gonna say no. And I also figured if I talked to any of my friends or whatever, they'd be like, this is ridiculous. You're a professional hairstylist. You've been doing this for 11 years. You grew up in a hair salon. Like, why would you do it? So I didn't care. I went, I got the loan, I invested in the business, and I went full throttle in it. I was up all night, almost every night, and working a full-time job as a hairstylist on my feet, and it was crazy because I was one of the most busy people in the salon. So I just went for it. And I remember like telling a few of the stylists like that I had this thing going on the side that was gonna, you know, make me a motivational speaker at some point, and they were like, are you freaking nuts? Like, they just thought I was insane. I told some girlfriends, are you insane? Like, this is crazy. What the hell is this thing? Nobody understood it. And I started to feel like a bit of an idiot, and I started to kind of like retreat, and then I just had this awakening, and I was like, you know what? I am going to make this happen for me. This isn't for anybody else. And when I put my foot down and I decided, I didn't start making more money, but what I did do was empower myself to go full throttle. and do something that made me feel empowered. And that's how I got off of drugs. That's how I started, doing things for myself, like exercising more and, being more mindful about what I ate. I think I dropped to like 30 pounds, within that first chunk of time. And I just started to feel healthier, and I started to see that I needed to start making changes in the relationships around me so that I could change and that I could grow. And it was an up and down for a while, probably almost 2 years. But I finally got to this place where I'm here, and this only happened in the past year. So I don't know. It's pretty amazing the things that you can accomplish and what you can do if you just commit to yourself. If there's something that you really want, and woo, there's crazy bugs around here.
Welcome to the jungle.
If you commit to yourself and what it is that you want, no matter what it is that you want, commit to yourself. You don't have to ask other people's permission to do things.
Wow. Was that the mic drop? I think that might have been the mic drop.
I want to see what people are saying.
Yeah, let's see. Brandon, welcome. We've already welcomed a ton of other people just a little while ago.
Motivational speaking is life. Oops.
That's the...
I didn't mean to do that. Maybe I shouldn't touch the screen. Yeah, Brandon says motivational speaking is life-changing. Yeah, girl, mic drop.
Jen.
You guys are killing me. So cute.
So the topic has been resisting the tug of conformity, and in your life, regardless of what you're doing, you're going to run across people who are going to be naysayers. They're going to be talking about how, how could you do such a thing? How could you live a life as an entrepreneur? Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of people that have been doing it for a hell of a lot longer than having like these huge corporate jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the people from the beginning of time have been entrepreneurs. It wasn't until we started having wars and killing each other that like huge mass jobs that started taking over.
Yeah, so it was 1945. It was the end of World War II when, right before World War II, the majority of people, and I'm just going to talk about the U.S. for right now because I know about that specifically, 80% of people had their own business before then. After World War II, when people were coming back, their businesses were gone, essentially, because they've been gone to war, the ones that did come back. And so people, instead of trying to rebuild their businesses because they had no money at that point, they had to go into the jobs in factories that were already still, building products and stuff. And so they got stuck into these jobs. And so rather than try to build businesses, they ended up just getting jobs. So it was that point that it switched from 80% having their own business to 80% being in the industry, in factories, in jobs. And so there's this small group of 20%ers that are still alive and well. And you're looking at two of them right now. Like we're the type who had the jobs, and we appreciated our jobs because it provided the money to be able to live life, to be able to pay mortgage, pay rent, pay the bills and stuff like that. Lead a sort of a party lifestyle in some cases, and I think we both had plenty of that.
Yeah, we did.
But having the realization and having the introspection and just being like, you know what, and looking within and saying, you know what, there's actually something deeper. There's more that I want to be able to contribute to a cause, to be able to develop something that helps more people out, and to help people out of these situations that they dive into these financial holes. Because like, for instance, like America, there's something called the American Dream, and that's where you've got a house that you can't afford. That's where you've got car payments. That's where if you've got toys, you've got like RV and four-wheelers and jet skis and boats and stuff. You got payments out the wazoo.
Ooh, and everybody and his brother thinks that you should get married, have a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
And that you need to fill your house with a bunch of kids.
Have kids, you have dogs, you've got all these things, and then you end up in debt. You end up working your ass off at a job that doesn't even, provide for you enough. And even if it does provide for you enough, you're never satisfied with what it is that you have. And so the media keeps on pumping this into you like, oh my gosh, instead of having 4 seasons a year of clothing, there's now 52 awesome seasons a year, because every single week there's a brand new style that you've got to have. And so you're just constantly running through this media that feeds you this crap. And so we're fed this way of never being satisfied with what we have. And so what happened is, my house is under contract to sell right now. We should be closing on, I think, June 28th. So just a couple weeks from now, closing. Erin's house already sold. She already sold all her crap, majority of it. There's a couple things that
I kept a few things at
the parents' place.
Yeah.
I kept a few things at my dad's house and a couple suitcases, but we had an estate sale and sold all the crap that was in my house. And whenever I say crap, I'm talking about this was high quality, paid good money for this technology, for all these electronics, for all this awesome furniture and this beautiful stuff. And what do I have now? I've got a backpack that's a carry-on that I don't have to check, that I can be location independent, that we could be location independent, because she's got a bag that she could check as well, a backpack. And we've got our laptop, we've got our smartphone, and we're able to go and experience an incredible lifestyle. Just like Brandon says, it's lifestyle. What are you looking for in life? Are you looking for materialistic crap? Or are you looking for experiences that you can share with your adventure partner anywhere that you want in the world?
It's nice.
Think about that and imagine what your possibilities could be. Because here's the thing, even though you do not know maybe the steps to be able to make it happen for your life, start with an idea, start dreaming like you were a child once again, and pull that out within your soul and be able to look at what the universe has for you and what you could actually implement in your life if you only took the time to pull your head out of the sand, stop being an ostrich or an emu with your head in the sand, pull it out, learn something, implement it, and make it happen. And guess what? If you're unsure on how to make that happen, you're looking at 2 people who were unsure at one point as well. And guess what? We found something, we stuck with it, and we implemented it and made it happen. And now people just like you are saying, I wish I had that lifestyle. And guess what? You can.
Yeah. Just this concept alone.
Mic drop.
That was another
second mic drop.
Just this concept alone of not conforming and not going with what other people think that you should do could change your life forever. Just this concept alone could change your life forever. If you started really thinking about, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Do I belong where I'm at right now? Am I happy? Because if you're not happy, you better do something about it right now, or nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to change.
Sorry.
That's pretty much it.
It's all about today. It's all about good job. It's all about, it's all about the conformity that society's put on yourself. So today, tell yourself and ask yourself, actually not tell yourself, give yourself permission to stop caring about what society tells you should do, and start thinking and start dreaming for yourself, and start figuring out what it is that would truly make you happy. What causes could you donate your time to? Or time or cash? Like, we all have two things here. We have time or we have money, but both of them cost something. Yeah. One of them you can't ever make anymore. Time's the one thing you can't make more of, while cash is the one thing that you can continue making so much more regardless of where you're at in the world. Yeah. So give yourself permission to have an idea. Start thinking about that idea of something that you're passionate about, that you have so much vision about, and think about ways that you can evolve that into something that you can do from your laptop. And here's the thing, you may not have been exposed to how to make that happen, how to implement it. That's fine. Most of us weren't exposed to that at all during growing up. You're not exposed to it during college. You're not exposed to it during high school. You're not exposed to it during the majority of your life. You're exposed to it when visionaries step in front of you and actually take action in their own lives, so that they can make a difference in other people's lives. And then you, on the outside, and I used to be there too, Erin used to be there also, we see this happening in other people's lives, and we realize that, oh my gosh, there's actually more out there, and I can actually do something different that doesn't conform with what society says, that, hey, a little secret might actually make you more cash flow than these jobs that we all get stuck into.
Just
That's
saying.
For sure.
That's for sure. I know that watching people like Esther Hicks, Les Brown, oh my God, Les Brown, he's hungry. Les Brown has some amazing stories, like really impactful stories, especially for the time that he came up as a motivational speaker and his background and where he's from. Check out Les Brown if you want your butt kicked and you want to take a look
in a good way
and just realize the possibilities. I mean, there's so many people out there that you can see the possibilities from, but as soon as I started tapping into these motivational speakers and started grabbing for bigger influences in my life that were just people that were totally outside of the box, people that were not conforming to anything, that is when I started to just make the decisions. Like I was like, okay, I got to do this and I got to do this, and in a lot of circumstances I didn't even know what to do. Like I was like, I don't know what to do, but something, just the idea and the want to become better, these things kept coming to me, and my answers and these solutions kept coming to me and speaking to me, and all I had to do was follow the path. That's all that happens. You start attracting what it is that you want by brainstorming and seeing a vision and knowing your purpose. That's when your answers start following you around and being like, hey, tapping you on the shoulder. Hey, try this. Hey, why don't you try this? You'll start seeing, like, you start saying, I want to become a better person. You're going to start seeing personal development books all over the place. That's just how it is.
What happens is there's an awakening that happens within your life. So just like Erin's talking about here, let's say that you're in the market for a brand new pickup truck. Let's say it's a Ford F-150, like I had this Ford F-150 4x4 EcoBoost, beautiful truck. It was 4-door, it was awesome. When I was in the market for a truck, all of a sudden I started seeing the exact truck that I ended up buying, because it was there. An awakening happened to me. I got blinders off me. Normally you're just driving down the road and all you see is traffic. When the awakening starts happening within you in your life, that's when all of a sudden things start clicking. The awakening is happening to people who are watching this live right now, because people who are watching this live are wanting something different in their life, and they know that they have to do something different in order to make that happen. And that's why you're attracted to that. That's why you start gravitating towards all these different things that are happening that you see popping up on your screen while you're scrolling through the scroll hole, and you see Be Adventure Partners live. Like, let's say you have the notifications turned on. Let's say you go to Be Adventure Partners Facebook page and you turn notifications to see first. Every time we go live, you start seeing us, and we talk about all sorts of cool subjects, from empowerment, like today's conversation, to silly stuff of me bashing coconuts open on the beach in Guatemala.
Us ripping around on ATVs or going sailing on crazy adventures with an awesome dude named The Roots. Like, we've done some wild things, and that's only because we've opened our minds up to trying something new.
And all of a sudden we start seeing all these new things that we could start trying out and doing and going on adventures on. and having such a great time and experience because we're not weighted down, we're not tied down by society's conformity, you know?
And I think it's too because we're expanding our vision. As soon as you know about vision and you start feeling your vision and you're like, okay, where do I want to go? Where do I see myself in the next little while? And you keep pushing that vision and stepping up your game with your vision, the vision keeps expanding. Like the other day, we're taking a break on the beach and I was like, oh my God, we're taking a break on the beach. Like when I was a kid, going to the beach was our vacation.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Great vacations. You can't beat a beach vacation to me.
Yeah.
I love a beach
They're
vacation.
fun.
But now I'm having my break on the beach. What the heck is that? That's wild. That's vision. That's manifestation. That's calling your experience onto you because you've become so powerful in yourself and in knowing what it is that you want that you attract it to you like a magnet. So what are you going to do to start attracting things to you like a magnet? First of all, get a pen and paper out right now and start writing down what it is that you truly want.
Yeah.
What would make you happy? What would make you flourish? What would make you feel more confident, empowered, actually have power in your life? What would make you feel that way?
What would it look like?
What would it look like?
What would it sound like? What would it feel like?
What would it taste like?
What would it smell like? Would it smell like the salty air? Salty air.
Or a beard. Salty beard.
Of the ocean? Would it smell like the crisp mountain air or like the river?
Yeah.
Like what would it be like?
Where would you be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right down. How would the temperature feel?
Yeah. And what would you be doing? How would you be contributing to making this world a better place? That's a really good question. If you can start to think about that, what are you talented in? You got to be talented in something.
Yeah.
What could you talk about all day long? These are the things that you can build a business around.
Yeah.
You can learn how to monetize it. So if you guys have any questions, connect with us. I love this conversation, what you guys are saying. Brandon says, money isn't what I'm wanting. I know I need it to live in this day and age. I'm wanting to get out and actually feel like I'm living, not just being here waiting to die. Exactly.
Yeah.
We felt that way too. I remember watching TV all the time with my ex, and like he just wanted to watch TV all the time and be sitting there and being like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I really was like, what am I doing? Like I hate watching TV. It's probably the worst thing that I've ever done and wasted my time on, and I wasted years watching TV. So, I started thinking, okay, what is it that I actually want to do? So I thought, hey, I want to be in the jungle. I want to be going out, having fun, doing things. I want to be on the beach. I want to work from my laptop. I want to go all over the world, and I want to help people.
Yeah.
So start to expand your mind and think about these things. It'll help you. It'll direct you. And good for you for knowing that. And actually, if you can change your energy around money, you can want money. That's okay. It's just the energy that exists around money. If you can believe that you can do something really good with money, you don't have to be an asshole with your money. You can be a good person and contribute with the money that you make.
Yeah, money really all it is it's a measure of how much value you're putting out into the world. Yeah. If you're not putting much value out there, you might not be making a whole lot of money. Now, if you're solving someone's problem, your audience's problem, or just out there, providing a solution to a problem also, guess what? The money will follow. It's just how it works. The more value you put out there, there's a niche of people, target audience. There's, customers and, clients that are totally going to resonate with your message, with what it is that you have to offer, and you're going to be able to provide them with something that allows them to take advantage of what it is that you're offering, and guess what? The money follows. So money's not a bad thing. No. The more that you're making, guess what? You're probably making a bigger impact in other people's lives that you had no idea that you were doing, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So,
Boom shakalaka.
Boom.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah. Resist conformity.
Yeah. I just want to thank you guys again for all
Yeah,
this
Nadia, welcome.
Jennifer sent us a ray gun to shoot the bugs.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Nadia called bullshit on you smashing the coconut in one take. I will say that was a one-take wonder. One-hit wonder. He did that all in one shot.
It's not really a one-hit wonder, and the reason for that is because I've only done it one time in my life.
And he's going to do it again.
And I will do it again. I will. Hey, Debbie, welcome to today's live. Nadia, James,
awesome.
Gary, what's up,
hey,
brother?
James, thank you for jumping out. Thanks for all the love,
Melissa, Jessica.
You guys are awesome. Oh.
Yeah. Hey, and thanks everybody who shared this. I really appreciate
You
that.
guys are beautiful
Shared
souls.
it to your wall.
Yeah.
Shared it to your page. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. We really, really appreciate that.
And
That's really
thanks
cool.
for liking Be Adventure Partners.
Yeah, and if you haven't liked Be Adventure Partners, head over there. You're watching us on Be Adventure Partners right now. Like the page, change the notifications to see first so that
Daily
every time we
inspiration.
go live, you can definitely see us live as we go.
Yeah. So, if you guys have any questions, we got answers. We
Yeah.
love to chat with you. We love making global friends. Even if you just want to shoot the shit about traveling around the world, where you've been, where you want to go.
Yeah.
We love talking to people. all
Adventure
over the place.
stories.
Adventure stories. You never know. You might be featured on BeAdventurePartners.com.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So, until next time, friends.
Adventure on.
Adventure on. Bye. Thanks so
y'all.
much. You guys are beautiful. Bye.